What's going on, people of the internet? My name's Denny, or Denny Cigarette, and today I've got a very special video for you guys. We're going to be talking about the first time that I did fentanyl. Before we get into the video, I'd like to cover a few things. Of course, it has been a fucking minute since I started uploading. I'm very sorry about that. It's just been, I don't know, I've been depressed as fuck, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I've stayed strong with my sobriety and stuff like that, so we're continuing with that. But secondly, as you know, only 7.8% of you guys are subscribed to the channel, so if you could, please smash the sub button. It helps me out a lot. Third and finally, there are drug testing kits in the description. If you do use drugs, please buy them. They can save your life or another's. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So this was a day like every other, you know. Around this time, I was still doing opiates, a lot of heroin, and some pills here and there, but realistically, heroin had taken over because, well, my tolerance had built, you know, and once you get that tolerance, it's really hard to find pills that really still work on you, you know what I mean? At least pills that are cheap enough where they're still able to work, and you're not paying so much to the point where you're going broke. So the day began just like any other. I had gotten, you know, my needles ready, insulin needles, you know how it be. Spent like probably 30 minutes trying to find a good vein, shot in, got good, and then we're off to the races, right? Another day of doing some bullshit. So at this point, I was still enrolled in school, so of course, I go get driven to school. I'm chilling out there, and then after school, I'm gonna go do my bullshit with my friends. So a frequent character, Greg, decided to pick me up this day, and me and Greg were chilling, and I was kind of talking to him about how the heroin was getting expensive, because up to this point, I was probably doing like a good 2 grams a day, shot into my arm or smoked or, you know, whatever, right? It just, that's kind of the drawing point I was at. And it was getting really, really expensive. And I was buying like half ounces at a time just for myself, you know what I mean? And that would only last me sometimes a week, you know? But I digress. So we're talking about that. Me and Greg, he rolls up a wood. We're having a good time, and he brings up, and this was kind of around when fentanyl was just getting big. You know, not many people had heard about it, but people were starting to talk about it. So he told me that there's this new drug, and I knew immediately what he meant. He meant fentanyl, and he was talking about how, you know, it was a lot cheaper, it lasted a lot longer, and you only needed a little bit to get high. So I thought about it for a little bit, and then I finally said, fuck it, let's go do this. So we drive down to an undisclosed location. He introduces me to the plug. I dap him up, you know, I get in his car, and we start chatting about it. And he basically tells me, like, you know, watch yourself. And I told him, like, I'm an experienced junkie. And he kind of loosened up a bit after he heard that, because, you know, fentanyl's a pretty dangerous game to be in. If someone dies, then you can be indicted, you know, all that shit. But anyways, so he passes me. I think I bought like an 8-ball just to kind of, you know, test the waters with this shit. And I left. Now, I just told Greg, hey, I just want to be driven home today. Like, I'm really not trying to flip anything today. It's just not that type of day for me. Greg's like, for sure, man. Let's just smoke one more wood, and then we'll go home. So I smoke this wood with him. I grab my tinfoil out. I smoke a little heroin, and we're feeling fine, you know. So he kind of drives me home. So I get in the door, and I just I bust out the fentanyl. And I'm looking at this, and it came in a little, like, not even plastic bag. It was like a piece of plastic, like wrapped around it in a little, like, tight knot. So I find a little sandwich baggie. I can kind of shove this in, and I put it in there. And I'm trying to, I did a little research online. I'm trying to figure out the potency of it. And then I realized, like, oh shit, this is active in the microgram range. Like, yeah, this is going to be fucking cheap for sure. So I learned that you can smoke it online from like looking up like, you know, how people are dying from it and this and that. And I kind of put two and two together that you can basically do the exact same thing as heroin with this. So I bust out the tinfoil and I get to smoking. And I was super familiar with heroin at this point and how it melted on the foil. So it was pretty clear and pretty similar to how the fentanyl smokes. So I took a big hit of that and I blew out, you know, a real bell ringer, as you would call it. And my God, was it hit me like a fucking truck. I wasn't necessarily nodding, but I was well, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't getting close to withdrawals. I felt fucking great. That warm, milky feeling all in my body, all in my, you know, arms and everywhere, you know, like someone's massaging you and you're nice and warm. It's a beautiful fucking feeling. But it comes with so many side effects afterwards that I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But I'm chilling for about 2-3 hours, and then I realized, like, oh shit, this is wearing off fast. Like heroin, I could do a little bit, and it would last me like 4 or 5 hours. But this was like cut in half. This was lasting me like 2-3. And I looked up the duration of action on Psychonaut Wiki, and I found that they were saying it's 2 to 4 hours. And I fucking, it doesn't have legs. It definitely doesn't. So I just keep smoking it throughout the day. And eventually I finally get to a good nod. And I'm, you know, once I start nodding on it, I definitely see how, like people get addicted to fentanyl over heroin, because while it's not as euphoric, it's so much cheaper. And at this point, like even heroin wasn't really that fun. You know what I mean? It had gotten to a point where I'm using so much that I'm using it basically just to feel well at this point. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. At the end of the day, it does when I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. When I would use it, it felt like a very dirty drug, however, you know, compared to heroin. It definitely didn't feel natural. It would make me super sick. And I got raging headaches afterwards from using it and things like that. So I definitely would rate it on one of the lower tiers of substances, which, by the way, I will be doing a drug tier list here pretty soon. Hope you guys are hyped about that. But yeah. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you all had a good one. If you do, smash sub and like. Once again, I'm really sorry for not uploading. I've just been, you know, kind of down in the dumps. It is what it is, you know, but we're back at it. And yeah, I hope you all have a good one. All right, deuces.